Hey everyone, it's finally Friday, and I am so stuffed up I can't even sing my song right. I clearly caught a cold of some sort, and if you are in LA, you've realized that the weather is it's very foggy and dreary and But anyway, it is Friday, and it's finally here, yay! And hopefully many of you were able to hop onto my live broadcast this morning at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time with Brianna. She's over in the East Coast, and she was wonderful enough to hop on with me and tell me a little bit about her recovery process, and she had a lot of great insights. So if you haven't watched it yet, or you weren't able to catch it live, head to my YouTube channel and check it out. And without further ado, today I'm on Facebook, and many of you did what I told you to do, use my hashtag KatieFAQ, and at the beginning of your message to me, you were like, hey Katie, my question is blah, blah, blah. And so I've answered your question, and I have 4 questions here, and my journal topic at the end. So I hope you enjoy. Now the first question is, when I'm with my therapist and she mentions sex, I just can't speak. I'm just too embarrassed about it, especially since I'm 20 and I've never even had it. With a boy anyway, fully. I just don't understand why I have to talk about it. I hate it so much. Like, if I asked her about her sex life, she probably wouldn't answer, right? Why do I have to talk about it? Please answer me. So, I'm not actually sure why she's talking to you about it. I don't know if you've had any sexual abuse in your past, but it's interesting that it makes you so uncomfortable. And that might be what she's getting at. That's my best guess as to why she brings it up. It's not to hear about your sex life or if you're having sex or anything like that. It's more about your response to it and why does it seem so embarrassing and everything. Because as we get older, and many of you may be able to recognize this, and some of you may be younger and curious, and you do get anxious. As we get older, we become more comfortable with our sexuality, whether we like boys, girls, or all of the above, whether we're having sex, not having sex, making out with boys, making out with girls, whatever. We're open to talking about it, but it's kind of a moot point. Like, we don't really... It doesn't make us embarrassed. It doesn't stress us out. So my question that I would ask your therapist is, why is it that you keep bringing this up? And I'm sure she'll say something to the effect of, I'm just curious why it makes you so uncomfortable. She may wonder if you've had abuse in your past or anything like that. So I would definitely talk to her and ask her a few questions, okay? Question number 2. Hey, Katie, my question is, how do I cope with not seeing my therapist anymore? Is it normal to grieve the loss of the safe space in my life, especially as my therapist used to do My therapist used the psychodynamic approach. It's making me kind of depressed, and I feel a bit creepy for even missing her so much. Is this normal? It's very normal. It's a relationship unlike any other relationship we're going to have, because we're so vulnerable, and it's our only safe place. Like you said in this, the loss of the safe space. And because of that, it can actually kind of leave us feeling depressed and at a loss for what to do because we don't have another safe place. I would watch my grief and grieving video. I talk about how we go through the grieving process and what we can do. And hopefully you've moved on to another therapist. Often when we have to terminate, it's because we're moving or something is changing. Hopefully you found another therapist, and I would talk with her about it and what it meant for you. And I would take the time. The most important and most helpful thing, I think, is appreciating what you've learned through that relationship. Like, when you were seeing her, what were you working on and what have you learned? And then I would also write down what you hope to learn from your new therapist so we can transition slowly to that, okay? I hope that helps. I know it's really hard and it takes time, and you're not creepy. Just give yourself time to grieve it, okay? Number 3, what happens if our therapist sees our arms and hands filled with cuts? And if they're fresh cuts, what would they do? It's a big risk factor. As a therapist, we would debate, and we would probably talk to you about it, whether we should tell your parents, whether we should take you to the hospital. If I think the cuts if they're fresh and I'm worried that they're deep and that we may need stitches, I'll make you go to the hospital, just because I want to make sure that we don't cause other issues because of our self-harm. I don't want you to get infections. I don't want you to have any long-term damage or anything like that. So that's my first concern, is your own personal safety. Also, I want to know if any of those were a suicide attempt, or if it was cutting. I want to know how long often you did it. It depends on how well I know my patient, but I'd have a lot of questions. And I know the main one you're worried about is, are they going to tell everybody? And they might, just because we have to get extra support and we want to make sure you're safe. And in order to do that, we may need to take you to the hospital, or we may need to call your parents to assess that. Okay? I know it's scary, but like in my live broadcast this morning, Brianna's like, if you need help, get it. And that's the truth. If you need help, get it. I know it's scary. We're worried about what's going to happen, but we already know how bad it is. So it can only get better, right? So please, please, please get help. Now, question number 4, my final question. Would you recommend Weight Watchers for your binge eating disorder patients? Why or why not? I wouldn't. And for a couple of reasons. First of all, I know, okay, it's supposed to help us lose weight or whatever, but that's not the real reason. That's the second thing, is it's not the real reason that we are overweight. It's not about the food. It's not about the binging. And Weight Watchers will only cure the weight problem. It doesn't cure your head problem. And I think the fact that we're using food as a coping skill is a much better place to start. I would definitely have my clients, if they're binge eaters, a lot of times I'll have them keep food journals where they write down what they've eaten and how much, and we talk about what had happened earlier in the day. We kind of compare the food journal to the regular journal, and we'll talk about what triggered it the same way I would any eating disorder patient. I just feel like that's not treating the whole person. I feel like it's just treating a symptom of our disorder. And so I would urge you to not, and to see a nutritionist or a dietitian and a therapist. And if I know in this particular case your therapist had recommended it, you may want to look for another one. I know that sounds bad, and I'm not saying that your therapist is terrible or doesn't know what they're doing, but I'm just saying that for your case in particular, binge eating isn't about the food, and I want you to have a therapist that understands that and knows that it's more about the coping skills and the lack of other coping skills, and that's the reason that we're doing it. Okay? So I would say no. And the journal topic. Who are the people in your life that support and help you grow? In my live broadcast this morning, we talked about toxic friends and people who can be really hurtful and traumatize us, and how much better it is to have friends that are supportive and loving. And I want you to take a little time, because it's Friday and we're going to have a wonderful weekend ahead of us. And I think it'd be great to have some positive reflection for today. And I want you to think about those people who are there for you, who love you, who support you. And I want you to, I'm just reading my notes here so I don't forget anything. I want you to think about how you can help those relationships continue to grow, what it is that's so wonderful about those people, and how other people in our lives may have other things that we appreciate, and how it works. I just want you to spend some time thinking about how fortunate and lucky you are to have people in your life who love you and support you, and what we can do to make those relationships stronger, because we all deserve to have friends and family and love any kind of loved one there, supportive, loving, and around for the long haul, right? It's wonderful to have people in our lives who are always supportive and always loving. So take a little time and think about that. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I'll be back on Monday with my regularly scheduled video, and then I'll see you on Q&A on Tuesday, and that's on Tumblr. So make sure to ask your questions on there, and I will see you all then. Love you all. Bye.